Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Punatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Krishna. Did y'all continue homework? No, forgot. Yes, some people continued homework. Okay. The feeling of blessed. Adi Shankaracharya is helping us understand what true blessings are. Very often we think we are blessed when we get what we want, but actually we are blessed when we don't get what we want. We're blessed even when we get what we want, but we're blessed when we don't get what we want. We feel we are blessed if the things we want near to us stay near to us. But actually we are blessed when things are taken away from us. And actually this can be quite a hard thing to accept for a lot of people. Because when things are taken away from us, we feel we've lost something. You know? A person who is dear to us taken away, some possession taken away, or something, even a responsibility, even a hobby. Sometimes people are displaced because of natural disasters or political changes, and then so much is taken away, right? When they have to move country, and small things, even if a certain brand gets discontinued. and that little treat that we used to have, and it's taken away. So we feel we've lost. But when things are taken away, it's an opportunity for us to learn detachment, right? And so we saw yesterday in verse number 4 and 5, we were speaking about, 4, we didn't do 5 yet, when we were talking about detachment. And we are blessed if we can detach. And the list of how many things we have to detach from. You know, if we make a physical list of how many things we are attached to, and it will be substantial. Even a physical list of things we are attached to will be long. But what we don't understand is there's emotional So like I said, if it's comfort food and it's taken away from you, that's emotional. A person, of course, is emotional. But then there's the subtler emotions of how we define ourselves. The subtler emotions of how we might feel we need a particular person in our life. Not that you lose them physically, but you lose their approval, or you lose their attention. Because, life gets busy. Or we lose, they might still love us, they might still be giving us attention, but not as frequently as what they did. And this will happen very often in couples. And, they'll complain, when we first met, he did this, he did that. Not that he doesn't still love you, but who's got time to write poetry anymore? And, now you know. But we've lost it, and we hold on to this desire. So the letting go of these small desires, and there's so many. So physical things will be long, emotional things longer, but these small subtle things in our thinking will be the longest list. And that's where most of the delusions are taking place. At the level of our thinking is where all the delusions are taking place. And so to let go of the attachment is to let go of the delusion. I was saying that the feeling of losing, instinctively we want to hold on. It's instinctive. Even somebody's taking your plate away and you, no, wait, I'm still eating. It's very instinctive, we hold on. So to be able to let it go is blessing. Because it's not instinctive behavior, it's mature behavior. Instinctive behavior is if we see something, we eat it. It's instinctive, right? We actually biologically built. It's innate, instinctive. Mature behavior is we don't eat it. Either we are fasting, either we are controlling. Maybe you could have eaten it at another time, but right now I've made a rule between meals, I'm not eating. So that's mature behavior. So whatever comes to us naturally are all these things. All what things? Jealousy, anger, possessiveness, desire, attention seeking. All these things come quickly, very naturally. And to act on that isn't any congratulations, right? So truly blessed is when I've matured not to act on that. When I'm free to actually make a choice on whether I act on it or not act on it. When I'm free to choose if I want to keep thinking about it or not thinking about it. Because in our minds, some thought will come. Maybe anxious. Something's due. A medical test is due. A kid's examination is due. Or work project is due. And so now that thought comes in your head, so much stress. I have to do it, I hope it does well. We have only got so much time. What if this doesn't work? What if Blessed is I can let go of all those thoughts. Blessed is the thoughts don't just come. I can choose that they don't just come. So we are blessed in getting. but we are more blessed when we are able to let it go. And so here, the idea in the Dhanyashtakam, Shankaracharya is saying that when we have this feeling of detachment, only then can we turn our mind to knowledge. If we don't have this feeling of detachment, we'll be thinking about the things we are attached to. And this is really pretty much a rule. What do we think about all day long? All the different things we are attached to. If we're very attached to kids, that's what we're thinking all day long. What are they doing? Where are they? Have they eaten? Do they remember to do this? If we attach to food, that's what we're thinking about all day long. If we attach to work, which a lot of people are, that's what we'll be thinking about all day long. Or like I was saying, if you attach to some of these movies or these trends or these fashion, that's what we are thinking about all day long. So sometimes these people get addicted to these games. Right? Because on the train, what to do? So they sit and they'll play these games. It's interesting to watch. If you're on a train and you are not on your phone, you are one of the very few people on the train who are not on their phone. Only like 10% of people on the train are not on their phones. So sometimes I'm as guilty. I'm also clearing all my emails. But sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it's like, put it away, and I look around. Everybody else is on their phone. I start thinking, should I take it back up? So then this once I thought, what are they doing? Right? Because I finished my emails and I'm pretty busy in life. So very intrusive behavior. I started looking at their screens. Most of them are on Instagram or playing a game. Some game, whatever game. And if you play that game, then you dream about it. Yeah. Why? You become attached. We become attached so quickly. Imagine, you could be thinking about anything in this world. You could be thinking about the wonders of nature. You could be thinking about the discoveries in quantum physics. You could be thinking about the ingenuity of modern technology. You could be thinking about anything. And what are you thinking about? How to kill that chicken. Which chicken? The one in the game. I mean, I don't know if there is a chicken in a game. Or you're thinking about how to get more points. We will think about the things we get attached to, and we underestimate how quickly we get attached. We completely underestimate how quickly we get attached. You might think you are a very good, controlled spiritual seeker who is thinking about God often enough in the day. I will give you this game. You play it 1 week. Social experiment. Guess what you'll be thinking about next week? You'll be thinking about the game. Yeah. Because these things are made addictive. Actually, these games are made to be addictive. Our phone is made to be addictive. WhatsApp is made to be addictive. Instagram is made to be addictive. So we'll get, because that's our mind, and our mind is made that way. They know how our mind works better than we know how our mind works. I'm telling you, they know the way our mind works better than we know, because they spend fortunes understanding how our mind works. And so we are getting attached because they have learned. Now, my point was, actually Shankaracharya's point is, if I'm thinking about all these things, when will I want moksha? I'm thinking I have to pick up the son from school and make sure he goes to swimming, and that arm of his is not going properly now. Then I am thinking that, that game, while he's in the swimming, I'll play more games and I'll try and increase my score. Then on the way home, I have to cook this. When will I think, oh, I want moksha? I won't think, oh, I want moksha. Because the mind will think about what it's attached to. And as long as that's fascinating enough. And when that's not fascinating, I go to the next thing that's somewhat fascinating. Moksha is not fascinating. Why is moksha not fascinating? I have no idea what it is. If I knew what it was, I could even try and get fascinated by it. Right? Like when you meet a new person and they start talking to you about stamps, you'll be like, oh, okay. You give it a go. Or they start talking to you about birds. And you think, birds? Okay. Moksha, what am I thinking about? Mine won't go there. Everything else is so much more fascinating. So the only way to help the mind go to moksha is when everything else loses its fascination. Yeah. Detach. I'm blessed when I'm detached, because then the mind is more available to think about this. And actually Shankaracharya is already talking about a quite advanced seeker. Because initially, when mind is free, I'm not going to talk about moksha, I'm going to think about Bhagavan and his glories. All the beautiful stories of Bhagavatam, all the beautiful story of Ramayana and the Shiv Puran, and Ganeshji and his chubby cheeks, and he's so cute and he's so efficient and he's so caring, and all those things I will think about, because my mind is still used to thinking about something. So I might be able to detach from a thing, but I'm still attached to the concept of thinking about a thing. And so now the thing is the Lord, in this form, in that form. And the beautiful thing about thinking about the Lord is that it's extremely purifying. And as the mind gets purified, I'll be able to start thinking about the Lord without a form. By itself it will happen. Not that I have to start forcing myself. During the puja, I'll take the flower and I'll put it at Ganeshji's feet. And I'm thinking about Ganesha, and I'm thinking about how he's protecting me, and I'm thinking about removing my obstacles. And then as I evolve, I'll see flower just on a tree, and I'll think, his glory. But first I saw it when I offered it. I think of him as remover of obstacles, remover of obstacles, remover of obstacles. Then I'm driving along the road and there's roadblock. Where are you, remover of obstacles? He's here. I start to see him in situations. I start to see him in beautiful objects. I start to see him in things people say, even if they don't mean to say it. Just out of association. And in this way, slowly, he stops becoming a concrete thing. And then we get to what Shankaracharya Ji is talking about here, where we are ready to think about these subtle things that are mentioned to us in the Upanishads. And so I'm blessed when my mind can dwell on that which is divine and that which is subtle. Because right now, we've trained ourselves, and the world is training us to think about gross. TV is training us to think about gross. Social media is training us to think about gross. Yeah? All marketing in this world is done. All marketing. Right? They're trying to sell you everything under the sun. Yeah. And it's training us to think about gross. So when there's so much pressure and reinforcement to think about the gross, I am blessed when I can think about subtle. Does everyone know what subtle means? Show of hands. Everyone knows what subtle means? Okay. Or if you didn't put up your hand that you want to know, now you lost the chance. Okay. So even then we saw in verse number 4 about I-ness and minus. And then this beautiful concept of equipoise is brought up in verse number 4, which for those of you who have been studying Vedanta comes up often enough. And in the Gita it's a repeated theme. And in equipoise also we saw this kingdom of yoga. And in chapter 2, Krishna defines yoga as samatvam yoga uchyate, being equipoise. I am blessed when, if I am honored, I am happy and at peace. I am even more blessed when I am dishonored and I am happy and at peace. I'll give you a very simple example. I was teaching a class of 6 and 7-year-olds. Yeah? And we were talking. And then, they'll always ask me questions because I'm a very interesting figure. So it will be something about like, why you wear the same sari? So I said, this is my uniform. Police have uniform, what do you have uniform for? So I said, I have uniform because I have to do God's work. Oh. O is just O. Means they have not understood what I do. So I was explaining to them a little bit. I can't remember what I was explaining to them exactly, but it came up that I've done it for so many years and I'll be doing it for the rest of my life. So how many years I've done it for? So let's say something, I've been 25 years, right? I've been teaching children 25 years. Bhavihar I've been teaching. So I've done it for 25 years. You 25 years old? So I said, no, I'm even older than that. You older than 25? You're so old. I assure you, they meant it as an insult. How old are they? 5, 6, 7. So I'm so old. So then one of them will ask me, how old are you? Then I said, I'm 45. You older than my mother. Would you feel insulted? They mean it as an insult. They are horrified that I am so old. If we could take insult this way, if we could take insult that way, we are blessed. Of course I was smiling. And I am old. I'm not at all deluded that to a 5-year-old, I am seriously old. They think 10 is old. Of course I'm going to be old. That's not how we respond to insult. If someone says, you've put on weight, you know, I've met a few people. There's this one particular person I know. And I live in a society where you put on weight is equivalent to you're a horrible, wretched person. You put on weight is an insult. Get it? Please don't get mistaken that in this context, when it's being said, it's an insult. And this one lady, she said, actually I have. Fact. It was meant as an insult. It's a fact. She accepted it as fact. It's hard to do even with that, huh? Even with you've put on weight, it's hard to accept it as fact. Because it's loaded with so many implications. I'm trying. It's hard, okay? It's what's inside that matters. We get defensive. Because we hurt. With something like you've put on weight, we can get so hurt. If somebody says, you were so careless, can we say, yes, I was. I'm sorry. Fact. You're being arrogant and insensitive. Can we look at ourselves and see, am I arrogant? We bypass that and we go straight to anger, hate, vengeance. I'll show you arrogance. I'm blessed when I can hear an insult and really hear it and evaluate truth, untruth, and not be offended. Like when the kids called me old. Truth. When that lady said she put on weight. Truth. And not be offended. Even though I am completely aware that their intention is to hurt. Really, I'm blessed if I can do that. I'm blessed when I can see with so much clarity, and I can accept with compassion. And so Shankaracharya, when he specifically mentions honor and dishonor, because now we're going to talk about, did we do 5 yesterday? No. We're going to talk about the hierarchy of desires. This verse talks about twice born, when we born again with this desire for liberation. When we born again, initiated into this knowledge. But I'm going to focus more on, we are blessed if we give the desire. So we've been talking about this all along, right? We've been talking about desire all along. And so here, Shankaracharya talks about desires can be categorized into 3 types. Now actually that's one way of categorizing. Desires can be categorized in different ways. He's chosen this method, which comes up in a few places in the Upanishads, and other places, other categorizations get used depending on the nature of our thoughts and things like that. So there's a beautiful prayer where we say, na karmana, na prajaya, na dhanena. So it's saying not by dhanena, money. So the first type of desire is the desire we have for wealth. Yeah. And we do. We will have a desire for wealth because that equivalents our comfort and it's our basic needs are being met. I'm hungry, I have food. I'm sleepy, I have a bed. I'm cold, I have a jacket. Very natural. Very, very natural that I will desire to be able to provide for myself. To be able to provide for myself requires wealth, and so I desire wealth. And then, the jacket should be a little bit nice also. And the bed need not be so thin. It can be a little bit spacious. I should be able to roll this way, that way. So then desire for wealth will increase and increase depending on how much of that comfort we will want. Na prajaya. Prajaya is progeny. And then that's the second type of wealth. Progeny is our children who will carry forward our lineage. And I rarely remember this. I was talking, I love children. So if you've worked with me, you'll know this. And so whenever couples come to me and, they're thinking, should we? I'm like, yes, have. Baby, have, definitely have. And, should I have another one? Yes, have another one. Permanent advice. It's like the more the merrier. And somebody was like, I don't know if I really want a child, so much responsibility. And I'm thinking, oh, people don't want responsibility? This was one of my first aha moments of how incredibly selfish we can be. Yeah? And I'm like, but I thought you wanted. And she's like, yeah, I just want a little person to look like me. Yeah, I didn't laugh, huh? I think my face is the way it was when she said it. It was like, oh. You'll be amazed how many people want this. You may not want it, but you'll be amazed how many people want to have children. So it's a little me. And how will you know? When your kid's born and people say it looks like your spouse. How are you coping with that? You may think, no, that's not me. I want the selflessness of motherly love. It creeps in. We want them to be like me. When the scriptures say, prajaya is because I want to extend myself, we think, nah. Yeah. That's what we want. And some might want it in this physical form that they look like me, they have my characteristics. Yeah. Or just, they will keep me alive in their hearts. I will continue to exist in their hearts. Without realizing, we have a fear of ending. But we know we're going to end. And the fear is there without us realizing. And so we want to prolong. We want to prolong our existence. And so prajaya is the desire for me lasting longer. I want to find a way to cheat the system. Everyone else seems to be using this way. I'll also use this way. But it's not just in children. It's with students and teachers. It's with bosses and employees. Prajaya is anyone that will take from you what is yours and then continue. So in a way, you continue. Because they're taking what's yours and they continuing. Yeah. Like family recipes that get handed down. Continues. Family traditions that get handed down. We want us to continue. A business I started should continue. Yeah. So prajaya is this desire that I shouldn't end, which is a very innate instinct desire. It's not something that we consciously desire, it's there within us. Because our nature is infinite, and we will seek our nature, and since we are seeking our nature, we don't want to end. And so it sometimes manifests as prajaya. And in today's world, it would include social media. Because it gets left. Your digital identity gets left. Facebooks and Instagram accounts of people that have died are still there. And continue to be there. Doesn't get deleted. The system doesn't know. So they continue. So it becomes prajaya, the way of extending yourself, and the way of projecting yourself. Na karmana na prajaya, na dhanena. So karmana here is we act to attain all the pleasures and success in this world and in the world hereafter. Right? Because of the laws of karma, we know if I do good, I'll get good. So whenever it will manifest, it will manifest. Or even that thinking of if I'm good here, then I'll get to go to heaven and not hell. But even if I do good here, then I'll enjoy here. So this is one way of categorizing desires. And we'll have all of those. We'll have desire for wealth, we'll have desire for progeny, we will have desire for attaining heaven. Heaven here, heaven afterwards. Through our actions. Whatever actions can give us, we want. Right? We're only doing the action because we want. But there's another way also in which desires can get categorized. Also 3. Those are, the first is karma. This one, the word, everything, the pleasures, all the different pleasures, right? The samosas and the ice creams and all the pleasures, and even the bigger pleasures of, massage chair in the house when you go home, and all those pleasures also. The fragrance of the bread cooking and all of that. The second one is kanchana. Kanchana is gold. Already mentioned here also, wealth. Right? We need wealth, we want wealth. The third one is kirti. Fame. Kirti means fame. Now why do I talk about that specifically? Because when we spoke about equipoise and this whole thing of being insulted and being equipoised in praise and in insult, kirti is our desire for praise. And very interesting, you know how you have Maslow's hierarchy of needs and wants. There's a hierarchy of desires. And the higher on the hierarchy the desire is, the harder it is to conquer. So in Maslow's, the first one is food. Roti kapra makan. That desire, of course, once you have it, quite easy to conquer. Second one is security, wealth, comforts. Not your basic needs, comforts. And then emotional, relationships. Somebody in this world should love me. Fortunately, there will be one person at least. Then, praise. We want praise. And it's a hard one to conquer. It's a really, really hard one to conquer. I am blessed when I can give up this desire. On the spiritual path, we will very quickly learn about self-control. We will very quickly learn about controlling our senses, controlling our mind, doing tapas, observing vratas. We did, right? First verse was all that. We will learn. On the spiritual path, you'll get very good at fasting, keeping the vratas, being self-controlled, being self-disciplined. Progress will be really good. Your progress will be really good when you practice these disciplines. And then you'll get to next step. And next step is pain. And if it's not conquered, you won't progress. You won't progress because it's the next step to conquer. It's the next step to let go of. This whole spiritual journey is a process of letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. And if you don't let it go, you're stuck. You're stuck with that attachment, and then you're stuck with that delusion. Because please remember, attachment equals delusion. So as long as I'm attached to wanting praise, I'm going to have all the delusions that go along with it. And there isn't a single person that doesn't want it. And that's why I've taken so much time to talk about it, because there isn't a single person alive that doesn't want praise. It's inbuilt. After we fulfill certain things like our needs and our comforts, it's inbuilt. The next thing we look for is praise. You'll see it even with little kids, right? They'll learn how to. Something simple, they learn how to tie their shoelaces. Yeah? Then what they want, you should praise them for tying their shoelaces. Don't they? They learn twinkle, twinkle, little star. Yeah, sweetheart, 7 billion people have already learned that. But you should praise them for learning it. Look how quickly it comes. It comes very quickly in us. And then that becomes our block. Yeah? And so here Shankaracharya is saying very, very clearly, we are blessed when we can let go of all these desires, all the 3 types of desires. And we can spend time alone. Because only when we spend time alone does our reflection really happen. Does our introspection really happen? Do we really start to see our desires? We start to see our attachments. You know, we do this Yuvavir course in our mission. Yuvavir is for the youth. 18 to 30, I think, is the age cutoff. And so they come and they study with us in the ashram for 4 months, and then they do Seva. And now with youth, it's not like this. We do classes like this, but they're with us for 4 months. You're not going to be able to do only this. So we do many different activities with them. And Swami Mithranandaji had started this thing where we do solitude. Yeah. In prisoner of war camps, it was called solitary confinement. I think the Yuvavirs still call it that. So he started quite long ago. I think in that first Yuvavir batch, I think it was like 2008, 2009. He locked them in a room for 24 hours. So it's locked from outside. You get put in the room, you're locked from outside, you get given 3 liters water, a whole loaf of bread, you get given like a dozen bananas, an apple, and some, those mixture, food that can keep, right? So there's enough food in there to sustain them. There's a bed, there's a bathroom, nothing else. 24 hours you're locked in the room. Now, if any of you have worked with Swami Maitrayananda, they were thrilled because they slept. If you are bored in life, please come to our ashram. I will show you how much work there is. There is so much work that these kids are up till 2 in the morning, but then they have to be up at 5 to get to the 6 o'clock a.m. class. And they are working, huh? They're not faltu, they're not partying, they're not having a ball of a time. They are working because it's all under supervision in the ashram. So when they got put in solitary confinement and they didn't have to work and there was no computer and there was no Swamiji watching them sleep. Some of them slept 12 hours, some of them slept 18 hours. And if you come and stay with us during a camp, you'll also sleep that long. Because we really do so much with them. Even in Hong Kong, when I take the little kids on camp, we come home on Sunday at 3 o'clock, I hand them over to their parents. Their parents will call me at 5 o'clock and say, "What did you do to them? They're sleeping." It's 5 and they're sleeping. So we keep them solidly busy. So then Maitrayananda ji thought this 24 hours is no good because they're sleeping. 18 hours they're sleeping, 12 hours they're sleeping. So now they're in solitary confinement for 48 hours. Because now there's no hope of you sleeping. 48 hours you cannot sleep. Even if you sleep 24 hours of that 48 hours, you still have to deal with yourself for 24 hours. It's very interesting for that kid to see what they do. There was this one young boy when I was there. Once I was there while they were doing solitary confinement. And I should call it something nicer. But anyway, when he came out of the room, the fan on the ceiling had been dismantled. Means he took it out from the ceiling and he took out all the parts. And Swamiji was like, "What were you doing?" He's like, "Swamiji, I was going crazy. I didn't know what to think about. The fan was moving. I thought, let me try and understand what makes the fan move." I was going crazy. I didn't know what to do. There's other funny stories of what they do as well. What would you do? And do you know why we go crazy? Because when we are alone, and when there's nothing else to do, we will think about who we are. And so we are blessed if we can be alone. Very often in my youth classes, I'll give this homework. And so I'm going to give it to you. Go to a movie alone. That's not so hard. Movie starts, you get distracted. It's dark, nobody can see you. Go and eat a meal alone in a restaurant and don't use your mobile phone. You will see how hard it is for you to be alone. Sitting in a restaurant, alone, no mobile phone. Because there will be other people in the restaurant who are sitting alone, and I promise you they'll be on their mobile phone. But the point of this exercise is, to be alone. Please note, if you have your mobile phone, you're not alone. Try it. I remember when somebody asked me if I could do it. I thought, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I can do that. So I went. But I had to go in a country that wasn't Hong Kong, because if I go in Hong Kong, 300 people come, Swamiji! Then I'm not alone. I managed. It was actually beautiful. You really taste your food. You really feel how much time you fill up by talking to someone else. You become so aware of it. You become so aware of how dependent you are that there's somebody else there. Why? Because then I don't have to think about the things that really matter. How much pride do I have? How much arrogance do I have? How attention-seeking am I? How much have I really given up? How much pretending do I do? What is it I really want? What will I do to get the things I want? All these things we need to think, but we'll only think about it when the mind's free from thinking about everything else. And so even to know how attached I am, and before I can even let go of those attachments, I first need to learn to be alone. Now if you tell me I can be alone, but you're busy doing something, that's not being alone. Being alone is you think about the things you have to be thinking about. And I have been doing this for so many years. I keep one day moan and one day solitude. Usually once a week, whenever possible, whenever I'm in home base. Until today, there's still so much to introspect about. Even after doing it regularly, there's still things to introspect about. And so I'm blessed when I can do it. I'm blessed when I enjoy doing it. Even in the Gita, this ekanta is a value that comes up a few times. Gurudev also talks about it quite extensively. And so then only we are able to see, only then once we have let go of attachments and we're able to be alone, then we are able to meditate, which is the next verse.
Nasanna sanna sadasanna mahanna charu. Nasanna sanna sadasanna mahanna charu. Nastri pumanna chana pumsakameka bijam. Nastri pumanna chana pumsakameka bijam. Yai brahma tatsamanupasitameka chittaihi. Ye Brahma tatsamanupasitameka chittaihi. Dhanya vire juditare bhavapasha baddhaha. Dhanya vire juditare bhavapasha baddhaha.
We are blessed when we can meditate. When will we be able to meditate? All these steps have been given. Control senses. To be able to lift ourselves above the enemies of our mind. To free ourselves of attachment. To be able to be alone. And reflect and introspect. We're able to let go of all our desires. So much preparation needed first, huh? Then we can sit and meditate. Because meditate is when we meditate on this. What are we meditating on? Sat. Asat. When we can see what is Sat and Asat. And we can see what is not either Sat or Asat. Now this part of Dhanyashtakam really is talking about Upanishads. This understanding of Sat and Asat. What do you all already know about Sat and Asat? So much. You all have been studying Vedanta for so long. What is Sat? Very good. That which does not change. What is Asat? It doesn't exist. Gurudev used to give the example, the Swami's horns. I don't know why he liked that example. So he would talk about himself. The horns of the Swami. For those of you who heard Gurudev, he had such a beautiful way of talking. Does Gurudev have horns? They don't exist. Asat. That which is not Sat and not Asat. What's that? Our lives. Is our life Sat? This is not a trick question. Is our life Sat? It changes, right? Is our lives Asat? We won't agree. There's no way we're going to agree our life is Asat. All these problems of mine are real, I tell you. This weight I put on is real, I tell you. Our lives feel very real, don't they? Our problems feel very real, don't they? Yeah. Back pain, tooth pain, feel very real. Somebody tormenting us feels very real. Is it real? As per Upanishads, no. But if I tell you it's not real, no need for Upanishad. How is that going to solve my problems? Gurudev used to say beautifully, Vedanta doesn't solve your problems. It dissolves your problems. But it's a journey to get there. And so I am blessed when I can start seeing Sat. You can't see a Sat because it doesn't exist. And I can slowly start seeing this is not Sat. So there's a beautiful word that Gurudev used to use for it. Relative reality. Yeah. Are your problems real? It depends from where you're looking. Is your husband really terrible? Sometimes. Not all the time. Are you really terrible too, husband? Sometimes. Not all the time. Are you a seeker, wanting to be the very best version of yourself? Sometimes. Not all the time. Are you that wonderful manifestation of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada? Sometimes. What is this sometimes business? Oh, I love what the kids say. If you ask the kids, are you kind? Are you loving? Are you compassionate? Kinda. I'm kinda divine. What's this kinda? What's this sometimes? What's this maybe? Relative. It's not real. It's relative. Relative to what? Anything. I choose what's it relative to. Is it dark? Relative. Is it light? Relative. Is it ugly? Relative. Is it beautiful? Relative. Is it good? Relative. This relative means it could be anything. There's no tangible fixed thing it is. It's all very wishy-washy. That's my life. Very wishy-washy. It's not solid. It's not fixed. All my thoughts, real? Do they feel real? To be able to see my own thoughts as relative is an amazing experience. When you can see your own thought and can see how it's a lie, wow, that is a phenomenal experience. It is so liberating, it is so freeing, it is so empowering. When I can see my own thought and say, jute. Just like when somebody else tells me something and I'll think, no way. When I can say that about my own thought, I am blessed. I am blessed when my thoughts don't fool me. Other people fooling me, secondary. I keep kidding myself. I have to be free of my own thoughts. Sat and asat is me. What's sat in me? What's asat in me? And what's neither sat or asat? Most of me. Most of me is neither sat or asat, because all just a lovely made-up story. And if I was to make up a story, I could make up a better one, no? You know, sometimes we play the game with the Balvihar kids and you have to make a story. And one person tells one thing, one person tells one thing, one person tells one thing. There was this one class where I was playing this game. I was talking about creativity and creation. And so I would start because they wouldn't be able to start. Once upon a time, there was a girl. Then the next person will say, she went to school. And the third person would say, then she died. What? Why? Why did she die? Okay, never mind. We start again. Once upon a time, there was a young boy. He became a fireman. He had to fight a fire, then he died. I was like, what is going on here? They killed off everyone. If I have to make up a story, why do I make up these lame stories? I get no time to be a true heroine. No beautiful transformation. No epic love story. Come on, if I'm making up the story, let me at least make up a nice one, right? My thoughts are making up stories. Stories of my life. That's all my thoughts are doing. Are they real? They're making up stories. I'm making up stories. You like your story? It's your story, guys. Make it nice, right? We make up other people's stories also. We do. We definitely do. Meditation is when I can start to see my thoughts as stories. Meditation is when I can start editing the story. I am blessed when I can meditate, when I can see my thoughts. And only when I meditate will I get clarity. Ajnana. She liked the point really a lot. She's not focused.
Ajnana panka paripagna amitasaram.
Ajnana panka paripagna amitasaram.
Dukkhalayam marana janma jaravasaktam.
Dukkhalayam marana janma jaravasaktam.
Samsara bandhanam anityam avekshadhanya.
Samsara bandhanam anityam avekshadhanya.
Jnanasina tadavashirya vinishchayanti.
Jnanasina tadavashirya vinishchayanti.
Knowledge is being able to see past the mithya to the sat. I'll give you a very easy example. For anyone who is a parent or anyone who is a teacher and the kid comes to you and says, I got a stomachache. And they might even do a really good job of the face of a stomachache. And if you have parented long enough and taught long enough, you think, oh really? There was pizza for lunch. stomachache vanishes. Seeing the mithya, you can see through it to the Sat. That's knowledge. Knowledge is you see the mithya, but you can see through it. If mithya was this dupatta, and knowledge is X-ray vision.
What is mithya?
The veil, a cloth. Mithya means it appears to be real. The word mithya means it's appearing to be real. So the kid forging stomachache is making it real. It's pretending that the stomachache is real, but I see through it. Yeah. But yeah, you can say ignorance is the cloth, and I can see through it, like Superman. I am blessed when I have knowledge. This verse number 7 is talking about knowledge. And with the knowledge, the immense freedom that comes, because all the barriers that we see are mithya. I mean, now it's very well known, but you know, in the 80s, 70s, the globe used to be drawn on this flat 2D picture with all these lines separating all the countries. And then the first time they took the photo of the earth from the moon. And now we've seen it so often it makes no difference to us. But one of the first things that people said, there's no lines. There's no lines separating countries. We are so blessed, now we've seen it so often. But can you imagine in a world where that was the only way they saw the earth? In that picture. And then finally they traveled. Satellite picture, and we saw the globe. There's no lines. There's no boundaries. We see boundaries. The skin, my boundary. Your skin, boundary. Walls, boundaries. What I can do, boundary. What I know, boundary. What I will eat, boundary. What I won't eat, boundary. Who I'll mix with, boundary. Where I'll go, boundary. How much exercise I can do, boundary. How much I can sing, boundary. Come on and dance, boundary. So many boundaries. Knowledge. All these boundaries are mithya, stories I made up. Every single boundary is a story I made up. There's no difference between you and me. We are all the same drops in the one ocean. There's no limit on how much I can love. I can love every single one of the 7 billion people on this planet. There's no restriction on how much I can do. If it's the work of the divine, why would I stop? And so it ends, Shankaracharya ends with this beautiful message, reinforcing this oneness.
शान्तैरनन्यमतिभिः मधुरस्वभावैः एकत्वनिश्चितमनोभिः अपेतमोहैः साकं वनेषु विजितात्मपदस्वरूपम् तद्वस्तु सम्यगनिशं विमृशन्ति धन्याः
And so he reinforces, and actually I haven't gone into it in detail, I haven't done justice. He talks about how peaceful the mind is, he talks about oneness, he talks about how desires have been free. But this last message to us, which is something that we can hold on to, because we haven't got to the point where we can meditate and see that our thoughts are lying to us. We're not even able to let go of all our attachments yet. We don't know how much praise we want, so what can we do? Satsang. In this last verse he says, you are blessed if you can keep the company of Santa. Saints who have evolved and risen above all these stories we make up. People who have expanded their hearts to be able to see the oneness. We are blessed when we can keep their company. There are so many amazing people on this planet. If someone touches your heart, and if someone inspires you to be better, keep their company. If someone encourages you to do the things that are difficult but better for you, if someone doesn't help you make excuses but makes you see your faults without harming or insulting or being malicious, keep their company. If someone has your best interest at heart, if someone will put in the time and effort to help you do what you need to do, keep their company. Now, physically, we may not be able to be with that person all the time, but we can be with them in our thoughts. We can sit at their feet in our hearts. And so surround yourself with their work, their writings, their compositions, their commentaries, their videos, their podcasts, their quotes on Instagram. Surround yourself with things that help you keep the company of beauty, purity, love, Sat. We are blessed when we are in satsang. And that's why we can never thank Gurudev enough. We can never do enough for Gurudev. Gurudev created these yagna formats so that we can be in satsang in these big cities. Gurudev created study classes and youth classes and Bal Vihar classes, and we benefit more. Gurudev made sure his talks were on video so he stays alive. He remains a constant example to all of us of how we should live our lives. Constantly inspiring us with his humor and his laughter and his wit. Gurudev created a place we can go where we know we will get satsang. We are blessed by saints and sages who ensure that our progress continues. With that, I surrender these hours we have spent on reflection at Pujya Gurudev's feet. Indeed, because of him, all the blessings that Shankaracharya spoke about are possible. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
And you all, after 3 mornings of enriching, thought-provoking and reinforcing talks with the gift of gratitude, it is now our turn to apply it in our lives and see the magic happen in our body, mind and intellect limits. Thank you very much, Swamini ji, for the simple yet life-changing talks on Dhanyashtakam. We are truly dhanya to get this opportunity. And a big thank you to all of you who have come here every single day and joined us. You're all welcome to come and take Swaminiji's blessings and take prasadam from her. As you may be aware, it is our culture, 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 may be aware.